Hello, how's everybody doing? Nice. So we've had some amazing panels, we've had some solo presentations that have just been mind-blowing, and we're switching gears a little bit, a quick lens swap, and we have a live recording of the PetaPixel Podast, and we're super excited right here on the photography stage. We can expect some real talk, industry insights, maybe a few surprises. Let's welcome the PetaPixel team. We have Jaron Schneider.
Hello.
Chris Niccolls, welcome. Passing the mic to you guys.
Thank you. So first off, this is awesome. Thank you all for being here to be a part of our podcast. And hopefully you guys are watching that. I hope you really appreciate it if you are. And big thanks to B-Nation. This is an awesome thing. This is our first build.
Yeah, first live podcast, first build, so thank you very much for having us.
Awesome, yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate bringing that up a bunch of you.
Thank you, thank you.
So what we want to talk about today, we're only 6 months into the year. All the manufacturers
Any second
now.
now.
Interesting year up to this point so far. So we really want to talk about, based on what they've released, where is this going? What's their plan for next year? What can we expect? What kind of direction do we
How do they
think
see
we're going?
the industry? Like what they release, what does that say about their vision for what the industry is?
Absolutely, okay? This is all just our conjecture and everything. I'm sure we're getting it totally wrong. And they'll probably correct you downstairs, but don't listen to anything that Chris and Jaron said. But before we get to the podcast, we always like to open this up with a question, and we are going to do a Q&A at the end of this as well. We'd love to hear from you guys. So let's just, if we can, Mike, if we can open up the audience, just one question, and then we'll get right into it. There. So anybody?
Here we got a
next question.
Right here.
In the back.
Hi, long time, first time. I'm just wondering, you guys are on stage. You're typically not on stage when you're doing your show. It's for like a digital audience. So I'm just curious, prior to this, what is the biggest live audience that you've ever had for anything? Thanks so much.
What's your name?
Gordon Blake is...
Oh my gosh, biggest live audience. That is a tough question. I think this actually is it. I once gave, in high school, I did debate. I was terrible at it. And it was an audience that was probably a quarter this size, and I rambled for probably 20 minutes, and yeah, that was it.
That was it?
This is easily the biggest crowd I've ever spoken in front of.
Yeah, I don't know. I make a mean turkey. I do a fantastic turkey dinner. So Thanksgiving, sometimes I get 10 people around, 11 people.
I was wondering where you were going with that. What is a turkey dinner?
No, it's that's like my favorite live event. And I don't. Oh, Jordan Drake.
Yeah, hi.
Well, he's usually very punctual. What about you, Jordan?
Terrible answers. A little while ago, I was brought in to teach at a private school for a week. They were like, we're doing a documentary film course, so we want you to come in. We've got tons of amazing equipment. These kids have access to all kinds of interesting people. It's like, that sounds great. So I went in and did an entire week to these terrible, entitled private school kids who did not care at all what I was talking about the entire time. But yeah, there was 35 of them, and that was, previous to this, my largest live audience ever.
So we're setting
this
records
is
here.
A huge step up. Yeah.
So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited to be here.
All right, well, now that we have the whole team here finally, thank you, Jordan, for your excellent question. Let's get right into it. We're going to go through these. These companies are in no particular order, just the ones that came to mind. So we're going to start with Canon. And Canon this year had 2 camera announcements. Yep. What did you guys think of those, and what do you think that says about what they're doing?
And I definitely want to preface this. This is gear that we've tested, but we can only speak about that. But I think we've tested all.
I think we've tested everything.
Yeah, I like that you put that stipulation in there because it doesn't matter. You tested them all.
It is our job. Yes.
Yeah.
Canon R50V.
Yeah.
Canon V.
And the V1. Yeah.
So I think it's really interesting because typically when we're looking at the entry-level cameras, I think there's this history of it's a Canon Rebel for somebody who just had their first kid and they're like, I need a serious camera now. And I think that whole side of the business is really going away very quickly. So now we've got the entry level of these creator cameras, which I think is kind of the new audience that's really sprung up for that. But I do think it's also just a matter of they've got to get people into this closed lens mount as quick as they possibly can and get them interested in the RF glass. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting take because the Canon R100, right? Super affordable camera, really interesting camera. You want this a little higher up?
I'd like that higher, yeah.
Who wants this higher up? You guys want this higher up? I just don't want to block my face. There we go.
It's a very nice face.
The Canon R100, super affordable, very basic camera. We didn't like it very much.
No, I don't like that.
Are they here? Is Canon here?
Downstairs.
Anybody from, okay, downstairs? Didn't like it very much. Like, it's very entry level, it's very basic, but it is an ideal way to get people into the lens mount, and once they're in the ecosystem, you generally tend to stay. But they're obviously making really high-end professional gear. It's that entry level that's kind of
So you're talking
interesting.
R100 now,
Yes.
which is like not that was released this year, but it does follow the same trend you're saying.
Entry level kind of.
I don't know if any
path
of you
that they're
were paying
going on.
attention, but like last year, Canon made that camera like impossibly cheap. There's no way they were making a profit on it, but the idea for them was very likely you buy an R100, you're going to buy Canon glass. Now you're in the system, and you'll upgrade later. And that's, I think, if you got an R100 and you found yourself interested in video, suddenly then you get the R50V would seem like a good choice because it's still APS-C, am I right?
Yeah.
And the options are better in APS-C for Canon. It's only in full frame where the lens mount becomes much more difficult to find options in.
But also, like when you saw a power shot back in the day, that meant like, again, the family point and shoot, and now it's a vlogging camera. So I think that just kind of
Which
shows
is interesting.
their shift.
Because point and shoots
And
are
everybody,
actually,
like, if they put out a good power shot right now, like
They'd
this
sell
room
it.
would probably be stoked,
yeah,
right?
they would sell it. Yeah. So looking at those two cameras, they're both very video oriented. Do you think that says
Sadly,
something?
they are, yes.
Do you think that says anything about what Canon sees the industry going towards?
I guess that's the thing, right? Like, I think they're banking on the fact that the entry-level crowd nowadays are interested in video as much or more so than photography. And we're seeing that with a lot of the industry. But yeah, I think that's probably where they're going to go. They've fleshed out the Pro line. I think we're going to see a lot more affordable cameras, but definitely with video emphasis from Canon.
Which means I'm going to be on camera more
A
as we
lot
talk
more.
about things, which is exactly what I'm trying to
love
avoid.
it.
So the next brand that we're going to talk about is Nikon. You always got to talk Canon, Nikon, they always go together.
Right.
Nikon has had one camera release this year, but it was a doozy, the Z5 II.
It was a
as
doozy.
they say Z, because they're Canadian.
Yeah, please
So-
forgive us. I'm sorry.
The language was invented in a place that calls it Zed, but you know.
Okay,
We've
well,
been told
anyway,
many times that doesn't matter.
the
Yeah, okay,
Nikon
yeah.
Z5 II, fantastic camera, right?
Yes. Awesome camera. I had one, like, it was probably one of the best photo experiences I've had recently using a camera. Like, just good menu system, nice body design, easy to use. You know, we had a really beautiful location to try it out in, and the price is fantastic. And I mean, that was a really cool thing, because I think we have to address, like, things are getting more expensive nowadays, right? Prices are going up. It's getting tough to afford things. And I think Nikon's doing a really good job of keeping those prices down a little bit more. Why would they do that?
Well, I mean, first of all, this was released. I'd say this is the last major camera release
Right.
before we all started saying tariffs on the podcast every single week.
Everyone's favorite topic. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
everyone's favorite topic.
So I think that's a part of it. But then they're also just trying to get market share. I'm sure they're not making a ton of money on those Z5 IIs right now. But what I found really interesting about it is you're constantly testing entry-level stuff. And it's
Right.
like, look, here's the compromises that I know I'm getting with an entry-level camera. Where the entire time you were in Moab shooting the Z5 II, you're just, I'm going to go do my job, and it does exactly.
Yeah,
like, I
it
don't
did
think
a
you were
really good job.
limited, you know, maybe resolution, but when you were actually out experiencing it, I don't think it was holding you back.
That is
and it's
somewhat
cool to
unusual,
see that
right?
again.
Yeah, it's unusual to see a camera priced that aggressively that also isn't making you compromise too much.
I think the A7 III is the last time we were just like, oh, it does everything. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's why Sony's so big right now, is mostly that camera. So hopefully something similar happens for
I think
Nikon.
it works out well for them, though, because we've got like this plateau now with sensor quality, right? And we've got so many 24 megapixel full frame cameras on the market right now. The image quality is good. It's plateaued for a long time. What was really impressive about that camera, they didn't really hold back the burst rate shooting. Nikon have really fixed their autofocusing game in a big way, you know, like
You
recent
didn't
times.
curse at that camera once, I don't think.
don't think
Which,
so.
again, it's usually cut out, but that's
Did
a high bar.
I swear at you?
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
But that's not what we're
But
discussing.
not the camera. No, it was great. And I mean, the Z8 was a really good price too. I'm sure there's a lot of Z8 users out there. But yeah, they're earning market share. I think it's actually paying dividends for them. We've talked to them, and they're having a great year.
But,
so-
what does that say about where they're going, you think?
I don't know, what else can they make now? I mean, they've
I
got
feel
a
like
pretty
they
solid
filled it out.
line.
The Z5 II really was the one that they needed.
That was the
Yeah.
missing
There's
ingredient.
super high end, and then there was advanced enthusiast. This
Yeah.
was like middle
Z52 as
enthusiast.
well, actually selling really well, doing
Yeah.
really good. I like that camera as well. You know, ZFC, it's the most beautiful camera anyways. But yeah, I don't know, like where can they go now? I think Nikon's done so much work at getting their entry level and their low pricing in. I think now, I think they have to go back to the high end. I think that's what we're going to see. That's their goal now. But they're in a place to earn market share, and now I think they can release something that will probably be ridiculously expensive. We'll see.
Well, for us, like, we have so many people with Nikon DSLRs. Like, okay, is it finally time to switch? And for the longest time, we were like, yes, if you have $5,000 or $4,000, now's the time. Where now I think it actually is like real benefits across the line.
But what about the Red acquisition? Of course, we all know about.
Yeah.
What about video? Is that another kind of place that they could really push this year?
Well, I think that's what's interesting is, yeah, they are leaning really heavily on the video side. They see a lot of opportunity there. And again, like the Z5, Z5 II, when I was shooting with that, I got a chance to film a good chunk of the episode on it. It felt like I was using a Z8 for most of it, which, again, at that kind of enthusiast price level, I think that's really compelling. And I think there was a period where Nikon people were panicking a little bit because it did seem like their DSLRs were cutting edge and their mirrorless was a little behind. But now I think a lot of people just feel more secure in it. And I've said repeatedly, like, if Jaron's like, you're done YouTube, you have to go work in a diner now for the rest of your life, and I saved up for a camera, it probably would be a Nikon.
Yeah,
if I needed something to do both photo and video duty.
It's funny, we got to move another brand, but actually my oldest son, he was like, I want to get a Z5 II. That was the camera he chose that he thinks is going to be the best route to go forward, like keeping the cost down, but having a serious camera.
Yeah, for a serious camera, I would agree with that. All right, that was a lot for one camera. Let's get to Panasonic. Lumix has been exceptionally busy this year. We got the S1 II, the S1 IIe, and the S1R2, all within like a 5-month period. They are doing something somewhat interesting, and it kind of even goes to their Micro Four Thirds. They're sort of using the same camera body design and just putting different internals in there for a different type of shooter.
I mean, in this case, they're using the exact same chassis, right? I mean, all three cameras, I guess that makes it easy when you use the exact same chassis.
It makes it really hard when you're leaving the house and you have multiple Panasonics and you grab the wrong one, which happens.
That has
it's not a problem everyone is probably suffering from, but it's a real issue for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that makes sense too, because not all of their cameras are designed for high-end video. I mean, that's what Panasonic is famous for, high-end video. But I mean, I really like the S1R. It was fantastic. The R2, it was great. I loved it. I mean, large sensor. We did terrible things to that camera in brutal conditions, and it survived. But yeah, I don't know, like, it still doesn't do it for me. I feel like video is still the big push. It's not a great video camera because of the high megapixel sensor. But when it comes to the S1 II,
my baby.
How do you feel about that?
I love that camera. Yeah, I think that's what's really interesting is we've said, when is Panasonic going to do the camera for photographers? The S1R2 is kind of it, but it does really also feel like a high-resolution video camera at the same point. Like so many of the trade-offs and things they're doing, it's bulkier for the fans, all that kind of stuff. Like the fans that spin, not the fans of the brand.
Of the brand, yeah.
That was an important qualification.
I'm sure there are folks who saw the price of the S1 II at launch. It was like over $3,000, right? Is it 32 or 31?
32.
So that seems high.
Yeah.
But we talked to Peter June, your former boss at TCS, the camera store in Canada, and he seems to think that that does not stop people from getting it.
No, apparently it's pretty hot.
I think people just really like the feature set. And we were talking before we got on stage here, like, I think Sony people, I don't know, maybe you can tell us later, do you feel like you really wish you had some of those features in your Sony camera? And is that something that Lumix is taking advantage of?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty curious too, because I want to know some feedback from you guys afterwards as well, because when it comes to the Panasonic brand, I know I've said this many times, there's like a disconnect maybe from photographers and videographers. You know, video guys love Panasonic. It's like your favorite
fiber
camera.
of my being.
You won't shut up about it. And it's like, for me, photographically, it just doesn't quite do it for me. It's not that you can't take beautiful photos on it, but it just doesn't quite capture it for me. And so, yeah, I'm kind of wondering if going forward in the industry, are they going to be able to win back photographers with one camera?
Mean, if we're saying what we're learning from the first half of the year, I think it's that they're just like, look, video is our specialty, that's our niche, we're going to lean into that really heavily. The only thing that would kind of change things for me is if they brought out some lenses that were more photographic. Because they have one that I would say is like a photo forward lens.
Which
it's
is
that 50 millimeter 1.4 that's
old now, right?
With when the first S1s came out. Was the last time that I was like, okay, this is for photographers, this isn't for me, but that's fine. And that hasn't been the case since. So I think we can really see the direction that they're...
Do we talk about Panasonic Micro Four Thirds?
we can't because they didn't release it. And we're talking about 2025.
So
Yeah,
Jordan, you actually brought this up earlier. When was the last time Panasonic made a Micro Four Thirds lens?
That's not a rebrand?
That's not. You said that Mark IIs or
Yeah, I'm disqualifying Mark IIs
right,
from this.
a
yeah.
new lens for Micro Four
From
Thirds.
scratch? I wish you hadn't put me on the spot right now, Jaron, but I would say 4 years.
It
would be
was in
my spitball,
2025. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually we have laptops in front of us, and this is much
Yeah, we
easier
can
to do
scroll,
while we're doing
yeah,
the
I like
show.
I like to catch you off guard. Well, here's one that you maybe weren't ready for then, Chris, also. What about the S1R2? Can you actually tell them why you don't think it's a good fit? Like, it doesn't vibe with you?
Are there any Panasonic reps in the audience right now?
We don't care.
Oh man, I mean, okay, so autofocus is probably one, right? Autofocus is something that I think
They've improved it.
they have improved, but we've reached a point where autofocus. It used to be Sony. I mean, let's just admit, it used to be Sony for a long time. Real-time tracking were
Uncontested.
great. Like, their subject detection mode's fantastic, and they still are. And they were the gold standard, and I feel like a lot of brands have now been playing catch-up and have successfully caught up. And so, again, Fujifilm, we have these issues too. And it's like...
Oh, we'll get there.
I know. But, it's good autofocus. You can use a lot of stuff for it. But I like a system, and I think a lot of people who are getting into a brand like a system they can just trust and shoot and have it work right off the bat. So if that improved...
I see what you're saying. The default settings on Panasonic autofocus hasn't changed despite the fact they've added more features.
Sure.
And so if you picked up a brand new Panasonic camera out of the box, you wouldn't be getting its best performance, which sets a bad tone when you use that camera. And it's
You
an odd
need a
choice.
Panasonic buddy to come
Yes,
over
they
and be
gotta
like,
tell you what
actually, you
you
got to
need
go
to
dial
enable.
this in, and it's page 7. Don't worry about it. I'll set it up for you anyways.
Yeah.
And then, you're
Yeah.
getting the best of all of it. But if you just open the box and use it, then it's not ideal. And that can be tough for, if you're at a show like this, and you're
Yeah.
just grabbing, a camera to play with for a little bit. You're not seeing it at its most,
And again-
responsive, most
And
performance.
Panasonic doesn't tell you that when you open the box, that, hey, by the way, you got to go change all these settings. They don't
But a
say
lot
anything.
of brands don't do that.
Yeah.
And
Correct.
it's
That's why
like-
they enable them by default, usually.
To give it context, I think the real thing we talked about earlier is if you're photographically inclined, you look at that camera and you're like, well, it's decent, it can focus okay, but I'm paying a lot of money for that. And if you're paying a lot of money for that and you're paying for video features absolutely that you might not be interested in, that's a tough sell. You really have to be into wanting to shoot hybrid. An S1 II is a fantastic video camera. S1 IIe is a good hybrid option for people that want to keep the cost down, but it's
We're gonna
still
talk
a
about
little
that
bit
on the
more
show soon.
expensive than what you might be able to get from other brands.
All right. Let's talk about Sony. We got a new...
I thought we just did.
No, that was Panasonic. FX2. We didn't talk about FX2.
That's it.
That's the
it,
only thing
yeah.
we've seen out of a camera from Sony this year. All right. What
If
do you
your phone
guys...
was in a dad wallet, it would have survived
Thank
that.
you. Appreciate it. So what is the FX2 doing? What does it say about Sony? And is it enough?
I'm probably going to tap out on this one. Jordan?
Okay. Yeah, and it was a weird launch where there were several videos released at different times. I don't know if anyone's aware of that, but it was problematic launch.
There's
for
giggles,
some.
which means they
Yeah,
are in on the
do you
inside
know?
joke of
This
us
is the
messing up.
only room
Yeah.
where anyone's going to know what I'm
It
talking
has
about
very
with that.
distinct
That was great.
like, silhouette
Yeah.
that's recognizable.
Yeah.
Even if it's
Mistakes
pitch black.
were made,
Yeah,
you know.
We don't need to talk
Error's
about that ever
human.
again. Yeah.
So the FX2, really interesting camera. No, I think what I find so compelling about it is Sony from the start was like, look, we have our separate cinema and we have our photo. And there were a lot of times, if we went back like 5 years, where I was like, a lot of these distinctions don't make sense. Like the A9, A9 II, I was like, why can't I shoot log on this camera? And they're like, you can't, don't worry about it. Go buy a cinema camera. And they did keep those really compartmentalized. But I think one of my big issues whenever I'd use an FX camera is there are some things I love about using a mirrorless camera to shoot our show. I generally shoot with like photo first cameras in order to do it. But like I love having an electronic viewfinder. Sony stripped those off of all their cameras since the FS5. I think was the last one that had one of those. So those kind of usability things, and then they're like, well, we're hearing from a lot of on-set photographers. They'd love the ability to take a photograph while they're on set with these cameras. So then we see something like the mechanical shutter brought back into it. And then they're like, okay, so we've got a cinema camera But the great news is you can use an electronic viewfinder and it takes really good photos. And I'm just like, well, isn't that a mirrorless camera? Like that's what we're accustomed to with all of those.
But it's funny though, because like the FX3 was an insanely good deal for anybody who wanted to do commercial work,
it's a great
getting a creator cam, that kind of stuff. They're willing to put monitors on to rig it up. And you weren't jazzed by that because you don't want to have to do a lot of that stuff.
No, I was like,
for a show.
I want an A7S3 because I want my big shiny electronic viewfinder so I can confirm focus and things like that, which apparently is not as much of a thing for up and coming videographers, which I absolutely get, like in the entry
But it was
level,
interesting because then the FX2 came out, and of course when you look at the stats, you're like, this is just an A7 III in a cinema body.
It's not a video sensor.
But you actually really enjoyed it. You're like, this actually makes so much sense for me. I want the EVF. I want to have photo capability.
Yeah.
It's like they listened to you and made a camera specifically for you.
Except for the sensor, which was
recognizable silhouette that you could tell.
Yeah, I mean, I think
backlit photograph.
You mentioned like sensors are kind of stagnating a little bit in the last little while. I think a lot of these companies are like, look, what's our parts bin? Let's mix and match it into a different component, and maybe we'll strike gold by
doing
doing
an oversimplification, but yeah.
No, this is what happens.
A parts bin, like a recycle bin.
They open it as a large trunk full of parts, and they flip it on
like
the
a
ground.
bucket of Legos.
It's very loud, and then they poke through it, and then they go, look, it's an.
I think Sony might have to give us a factory
A7
tour and educate some of us a little bit differently, but we'll see. I'm sure that's what they do.
Here's another one. I actually, before we came on, I forgot that this was this year. Leica SL3S. So that was Leica's only camera this year.
For their 100th anniversary year.
The SL series is kind of odd, in my opinion.
I got flack for this one.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, I caught flack for this one, yeah. Like,
why?
Because I said that the SL3S is like, a rebranded mirrorless body, because I feel like it is. And Leica's this funny company where they have the cachet, they've got the prestige. It's beautifully made. The Leicanography is gorgeous. The menus are nice. I like the touchscreen. I mean, it's a nice camera to use, but it is effectively like a mirrorless camera we've already seen. You're paying way more money for it, and it's not going to compete. I just don't feel, and I feel like the M rangefinders, the Qs, I mean, we're seeing a lot of these around. They give you that unique shooting experience. I don't personally feel the SL series gives you that unique shooting experience. So then to look at it and spend the extra money, I feel like you're doing it because it's a Leica and you like the brand, and that's fine. That's fine, and we'll talk about it. I mean, it's a 24 megapixel full frame mirrorless camera, of which there are many.
Yeah, I think the interest, like I really liken it back to in the film days, they made R series cameras, which looked like a lot, a classical SLR that not many people talk about, and there was some great glass for it, but it never really broke through in the same way, again, because it's an experience that you could get shooting with Nikon or shooting with Canon.
And the video capability?
Well, on the film camera was lackluster, frankly, Chris. But no, with the SL as well, they are definitely trying to make inroads into video, but it's very similar to like an S5 IIX.
It is like an S5
way more money.
And I feel like now you got the S1 II.
We got the S1 IIe, which is that same sensor again with like a better designed body and all kinds of stuff. So it just feels like I wish Leica would just focus all of their effort into like making the cameras that feel unique, like actually filling their orders.
But that's the funny thing though about Leica, because if we talk about, okay, where is that going to go in the future? What does this year mean for Leica? The fact of the matter is they just don't need to care.
They're like, it's our most profitable year every year.
They just don't need to care. They don't care.
They can keep making SLs.
We shouldn't be telling them how to run their
And
business.
then every year I have a report, I see the finances. It's like, they made more money this year than last year. They're exceedingly successful.
They're going to sell every camera that they can possibly make. They're way behind on getting them out to the people that are waiting for them.
Walking around the show floor here, it's like, that's why they just had their best year.
And they're super popular, and they are fun cameras, and the experience is great. So I don't know if we're gonna see any more cameras. Probably some new colors, limited editions.
They do a ton of limited editions. That's what we'll see.
Stuff,
if we get another camera, I don't know. I think the M series is pretty good right now. I don't expect anything out of that.
Yeah.
The SL series is good. Yeah. Maybe we'll get some lenses for either, perhaps. We might see something, but they don't have to do much.
They don't have to do much.
They're doing just fine as is.
And I can't even tell you what I think they should put in it. Like an M with a stacked sensor makes absolutely no sense.
That's why they don't need another M this year.
Yeah,
they're just going to keep chugging. So
hybrid optical with an EVF? I don't know.
So let's talk OM system.
All right.
I got a chuckle over there. I wonder why.
Who's here from OM System? Wait a minute.
OM System had two cameras this year, the OM3 and just this week, OM5 Mark II. So OM is really the only one that's doing new Micro Four Thirds. New Micro Four Thirds.
Yeah.
OM3 was new.
Yes.
OM5 Mark II, you said, felt like a camera you've reviewed before.
Yeah, 3 times. Yeah, okay, so, I mean, look, I'm a proponent of Micro Four Thirds. I love Micro Four Thirds, and I'll get to that. I really do. And so, and I do use an OM1 for personal work. And the reason for that, and I think the reason what like OM System is really marketing towards is it's great for outdoor use. If you're doing like adventure photography, if you're gonna beat up your camera, if you're gonna be in bad weather, if you want compactness.
Put it under a waterfall.
Put it under a waterfall.
Drive over it with a truck.
Drive over it with a truck. That was not intentional. Not that one. But it survived, and it survives, and I love it for that. And all the computational technology where you don't have to bring a tripod, you don't have to bring filters. It's great.
OM is the only one,
Totally.
and I don't know, they've never confirmed, but I feel like they own patents for it. They have to. That's
Nobody
got to be
else
the
has jumped
only
on board
reason why
with it.
no one else does it.
Yeah.
That they have so much. Like the Live ND is super neat. The graduated thing, super neat.
But
So,
there's no denying the sensor hasn't changed in a long time.
No.
Those computational features haven't changed in a long time. I mean, they're great. Stabilization hasn't changed in a while.
and it's great.
We get little evolutions and little changes and improvements. USB-C, right? Are we all happy about USB-C?
Over the moon.
Yeah.
Cutting edge stuff.
favorite.
Yes, USB-C. I mean, but that shouldn't be the most exciting thing, right? So I feel this is what OM System is doing. I feel like we're still in a situation where you've got Olympus as a brand, you've got OM System as a brand. I still say Olympus every time I try to describe this camera system.
I know.
I still say,
I
yeah.
edit
And then
around
you're
it.
like, Chris, you got to redo that take. You said Olympus. So I feel like what they're trying to do is just get past that name. Get all of the old gear now saying OM System. Hopefully get all of us saying OM System as well. And then maybe we can see some innovation going forward. And I love the OM3. I think it's a great camera. I think it's beautiful, but it's effectively an OM1 in a really sexy body.
Well, what comes to my mind is when
And you pay for it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what comes to my mind is when OM System first acquired Olympus, all of their technology and everything, there was this deluge of like really cool stuff.
Yeah.
We had the OM1, then we had the 150 to 400, like the perfect birding lens, and then we had the bird detection firmware for those same people happening. And then that was the last time I saw something new. Besides,
that was
like a
already
new
in
body-
development.
Exactly. I think
Yeah.
that was Olympus had that. So basically, I mean, this just reaffirms that they have to actually show us the evidence of some R&D. Like all the lenses that they've released since then they're based on Sigma lenses, right? And they're birding lenses.
But okay, where are they going to go this year? What are they going to change?
And what have they
think-
said? I feel like what they've said is they are very much entrenched in the idea of outdoors. They want their cameras to be good for that. Is that successful?
Just make a pen. Just make a pen.
We've been telling them to make a new pen for like 4 years now. So like
I'm sure
fingers
you all have too.
crossed. It takes like 3 years to develop a camera from scratch. So depending on when they start listening to us.
What I think we're going to see is just an EM10 update. They'll probably call it an OM10. That's my guess. I don't know. It's a wild guess, but I think that's my guess. But
I think history would prove you correct.
yes, and I think that's what we'll see from them. So yeah, they know they have to innovate. I don't think it's going to happen this year.
Yeah, 1 more year? 2 more years?
I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
I don't know what to tell
I'm gonna say 2 more years, and I think everybody in this room full of people should go badger them at their booth and say, go make a pen, because Jordan
Yeah,
and
the
Chris
more
won't
people
want
that tell them to make a pen, the more likely it's going to
Just
happen.
be annoying.
you.
That would be great.
They just have to make this, but with
Chris,
OM.
what is that? For the
Panasonic
people who are
GM5.
listening,
It's
you
the
might
greatest
be curious.
camera of all time. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Tell me more.
No, nobody wants. But you know what? But all jokes aside, like this is to me,
That's a
Micro Four
massive
Thirds.
one.
You can either be super rugged. This is not. I'm not being paid by Panasonic to talk about this. They don't. Want
No,
to
they
make
wouldn't
this,
pay him to talk
They
about this.
will
They
not
want him to
make this
stop
camera.
talking about this camera.
But this is what Micro Four Thirds can do that other sensor sizes can't do. They can make an ultra compact, tiny little camera. That's what I want to see more of. And you know, it wasn't that popular when it was first. Maybe it was popular, but now
No, it wasn't.
This would be insanely.
We worked in a
popular.
camera
So,
store.
It was
People hated
fine.
that thing.
It was fine. It was ahead of its time. But that I think is what they need to jump on. And I think OM System have the heritage to draw on that. They've got the body designs. That's what I think we need to see.
Sigma.
I don't know that we will.
Sigma made a camera. What is that? Everyone here probably knows about it. It was one of the most striking cameras that's ever been
Yes,
made.
by far the most unique camera we've seen
So
this year.
2 things about that. It is an extremely unique camera, and I know that's redundant saying extremely and unique in the same sentence. And they somehow made one of the most impressive autofocus algorithms out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's also one of the sharpest cameras, literally one of the sharpest
Yes,
cameras.
like he meant like physically. We had a friend who cut himself on it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of these polarizing cameras, but I think a lot of people really enjoy it. But yeah, to go on your thing, so we get this camera. I'm not a huge fan of the FP series. Their autofocus is always like really yuck.
Abysmal.
And then we're trying out this BF, and I tried the tracking, and it blew me away.
Yeah. I'm just walking back and forth on the camera, it seemed like something was wrong. And we're just, why didn't they tell us that they've been doing all this? And obviously it's because this small, extremely dangerous camera
Yes.
isn't really designed for doing like action and things like that. But there's clearly a lot of work going on behind the scenes
is one of
for
the
something
slickest
that is
tracking
going
systems.
to happen in the future. I think they're going to bring a very compelling camera out pretty soon.
Yeah.
Would be just based on how far along they are. And they're also doing cool stuff like they're tone mapping JPEGs. So if you put them on HDR displays, it's a regular JPEG. You can share it with your friends and family. There's no HLG weirdness.
Yeah.
It'll display properly on HDR displays. And what? No one else is doing this. And then we like have to talk to them months later and be like, "That's cool." They're like, "We know, isn't it?"
But we don't care.
They're very
we have no
humble
idea. Yeah.
about what they're doing, and they're I don't know, they're great. They're making some really
we talked to
neat
the
stuff.
CEO, Yamaki Kazuto. He's a great dude, super cool. And we're like, why did you make this camera? He's like, I made this camera for me. Like, this is a cool camera. I just want it. This is what I want to have. I don't need anything fancy. I just want it to be stylish and to take good photos. And then we asked about the autofocus. Like, how did you go from being some of the worst autofocus ever to all of a sudden some of the best tracking we've ever seen on this camera of all cameras? And he said,
He employs lovely people.
He's like, I got great engineers.
Yeah,
That was
that's
it.
not an answer. It's
I don't know.
lovely. I love the people that you employ, but
Yeah.
that wasn't a how.
seem nice.
So
Yeah.
if you get a chance, go pick it up, try it if you haven't already. That tracking
really
autofocus
interesting.
is insane. But I like your idea. It's like maybe they're going to make a serious camera now that you don't think so?
No, I think absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, are they going to make an attempt at a?
I just,
Positive
it
says
doesn't
he
make
wants
any
to.
sense to put that much effort into such sophisticated autofocus if it's going to be a camera with an electronic-only shutter that you're not going to want to put big lens on it because it'll fall out of your hand
Yes.
or cut you
cut
at
you,
some
yes.
part of your body.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys do try it out, be very careful.
Yeah.
Just
All right.
like, don't put it above your head. Yeah, safety first.
There's
Please,
probably some
gloves.
people who do winter wear at the show floor, so get some
Yeah,
nice
I
winter
know. Just be
gloves and then
careful.
go
Just be careful.
hold
You'll
a
be fine.
Sigma
Just be
BF. Yeah.
That is an exaggeration. Last one, Fujifilm. 3 cameras this year.
Yeah, they've been busy.
GFX 100 RF, the X-Half, and the XE5. What are your thoughts on that? I have thoughts, but I want to go last.
You want to go last?
Yeah.
Jordan, do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go
Yeah.
first on this. I mean, I think we're really seeing, I was wondering what the effect of the X100V would be when that camera blew up on TikTok and all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of excitement about film simulation modes that have been on the cameras for 10 years. But suddenly this is a revelation, everyone's super excited about it, and all of these cameras are directly from that DNA. Like
Right.
when they introduced the GFX, which is a medium format fixed lens camera, every single thing was like, look, it's very similar to an X100, but it's just a tiny bit taller, and the features were just like the
Yeah.
X100. We look at something like the X-Half, which is a weird camera, but
Very weird
everything
camera.
goes back to, yes, it's a very similar to an X100, but now a vertical format with an itty-bitty sensor that doesn't use all of, which, again, weird camera. But again, it all goes back to that X100. Like, I think in the same way when you think Leica, you think rangefinder, Fujifilm is looking at the same kind of strategy
Yeah.
right now. Like that X100 this is our brand design ethos, essentially, and now how can we iterate on that with different combinations on the inside? XE5, same thing. They're like, look, we're releasing it with a small lens, so the shape and the silhouette, essentially, is very similar to an X100. This is our signature look, I
Right.
think, moving
It's a beautiful
forward.
camera with a terrible lens on it. Optically beautiful lens.
It's just a focal
He doesn't-
a
length.
really bad.
If you're not in on the
focal
joke, he
shot,
doesn't
but
like 35 millimeter.
Anyways, we don't have to talk about that. But
I'm glad. I don't want to.
Yeah, save all the 35 mil lenses for us.
I love 35.
there you go. I know, I'm in the minority. So Fujifilm is a company that actually, it really threw me for a loop this year. Really threw me for a loop this year because I have my opinions about them, and I've just shared one of those. And when the GFX 100 RF came out, we were going to play with that. I thought it was a stupid idea right off the bat. I'm like, this is a terrible idea.
You thought you were going to hate that camera.
That one was really
I absolutely
interesting
thought I was going to hate that
because
camera.
we shot together in Calgary. And then you abandoned me for
Yes.
Prague with
Yep.
Jaron
It was
to
lovely.
go shoot. So when we're shooting
We had
in
a great
Calgary, you're
time,
just
didn't we?
running
It was
through.
very
Oh, we
nice.
saw so many great sights, and that bridge was beautiful, and like the food is all beer or like fatty meat. It's incredible. It was such a good time. We bonded too. We went shooting. Anyways, like the
So I did have a point I
Oh,
was working
sorry.
my way towards, which is when you were shooting it and you were just looking at it in terms of the specs and what they'd already announced, you were pretty underwhelmed with it when we were shooting B-roll and things like that. And then you left for Prague, and then I got on a video call with you, and you're just like, I'm having a great time, and this camera rules. So it was the actual shooting experience that really set it apart.
You could, say it's like a giant X100 because it does a similar thing, right? Fixed lens, beautiful design. They were able to make it quite compact given the size of the sensor. But I really did enjoy that whole, actually it felt more like a Leica Q, honestly. It's like Fujifilm Leica Q, where you've got this nice wide lens. It wasn't a 35mm full frame
No, it was
equivalent,
not
which is great. And then you have this 100 megapixels that you could absolutely crop into and still get really good photos. And I really enjoyed it, and I thought I would hate it.
Before we get off that, what was the most magical moment you two shared together in Prague?
We had a really nice
There was
sunrise.
just so many.
Yeah.
We had a really nice time in the castle. We had a really nice time on the bridge, the famous bridge.
Yeah.
We sat out there like for sunrise. It was great.
It was cold.
We had a lot of good meals together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Back on
shooting
back on a
was-
related topic that's trying to not make Jordan feel terrible.
Oh, yeah.
What I want to say about Fujifilm, and for anyone who doesn't shoot Fujifilm or doesn't understand why they sell so many cameras or why they're so popular, when you look at the cameras on paper, and you see, for example, the XE5, and you're like, why would I buy that if I wanted Fujifilm? As you roll your eyes, why would I not just buy an XT5? It's almost the same price,
Right.
seemingly better. Why? And for me, I didn't shoot Fujifilm at all until 2 years ago. And I held an X100, was that, 1 year ago, X100 for the first time.
Yeah.
And for me, that was like, I understood.
You're one of those.
I got it. The GFX 100RF didn't have the same feeling for me. It was just this design. And I think what I can say is there is a reason to get a camera that's more than the specs on paper. To actually feel it and feel like you want to make something with it, it's really hard to express why that's valuable. So that's for me why I think Fujifilm is so successful at what they're doing, is they are making cameras that are quite varied, and for different people creates a different, that same sense in a different way. So like when Chris likes the GFX 100RF.
Or the XE5. I actually really did like the XE5.
The XE5, for me the XE5 is cool, but I like being limited to the 35mm.
Gross.
So that's just me. So but that's the thing. There's plenty of people who will find something to like about something Fujifilm does. Also, I had a terrible experience. By terrible, I mean it's bad for my wallet. I held a GFX for the first time because I don't shoot medium format. Like here, someone said, here, try the GFX. I was doing something tethered, and I was like, oh no, this is nice. So that's not good for me.
You know, and I think we're going to talk about this, like Fujifilm, I feel, is kind of going the same route that maybe Leica is to some degree. Like they're going this more prestigious route. They're rocking that 40 megapixel sensor and everything.
It's a great sensor.
It is a great sensor, but it does make the price high.
Yep.
They can, every camera they make, they sell. They have that same issue where they're like, it's not like we're sitting on these. They're flying out the door.
Looping back to the X-Half, they're one of the few companies that makes a weird risk.
Yes.
They'll just do something
I mean, the
odd.
BF is a pretty weird risk.
I said one of the few. I didn't say the only. The Sigma's another one. Just do something weird.
Yeah.
And you know what? People like
They're
it.
selling the experience.
People like it. Sorry, I keep cutting you off, Jordan.
No, it's fine. I did like the experience. It's nice when we get a Fujifilm briefing and we all go, huh, I like that moment
Yeah.
when they're telling us what's coming.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
But I want to talk about price because we have now, over the last few months, every single video that we've dropped, without fail, actually.
Yeah, it's
all
always,
the comments
why is
are-
that so expensive?
Everything is, and I mean, I do think we are seeing a little bit of a transition in photography. And I mean, we can blame it on tariffs or whatever, but I
Well,
do
we've seen
also
this
think
happening for a while now.
they're becoming more luxury items. You know, and I think Fujifilm is a good place to talk about that.
What is Fujifilm going to do in the entry level? Because I feel like, they're going this very prestigious route. They're making really expensive cameras. Where are the entry level
What would you say
users
the entry level is now for them? And that's not XE anymore.
XM5, yeah.
XM5. Yeah, the XE did. I mean, for those that don't know, the XE used to be their entry level option for a system camera, and now it is a very prestigious camera. And I think that's what a lot of people are kind of, being taken aback on. XM5, but no EVF.
I think their solution, we talked to them, is,
XT32.
they're saying use older cameras. That's going to be the more affordable option.
Yeah.
Which, again, I would like to see something with some of their latest improvements, or an electronic viewfinder. Because if you look at the XT32, like it does feel outdated compared to the other stuff they're bringing out.
XS20, great camera, but it's getting long.
And we would be remiss if we didn't mention what people always tell us, is that Fujifilm's autofocus could be better. Now, I do think that it's better in photo than it is in video. In video, it tends to do the hunty thing. Yes, like that, Jordan. That is exactly what it does.
If you're listening, you're getting nothing out of that.
Yeah, Fujifilm, for what it's worth, they know. They are. They keep saying that they're working on it, but like, it's kind of hard for me to be like, well, yeah, you see Sigma over there just did it inexplicably. So, what's next on that list? Like, come on, Fujifilm.
I mean, with all the X100/6s that they're moving right now, I hope like a tiny bit of that money is like, I mean, they're releasing a cinema camera in the very near future. Like, throw a little bit at the video autofocus. I think that will be very worthwhile, especially for the people that they're targeting. Like, the XM5 is a great hybrid camera if you manually focus it.
It's been an interesting first half of the year. We have another half to go, so there could be some exciting stuff coming up. But I
think this is a good time to transition to, if anyone has any questions related to what we've discussed, or not, we're here. Chris and Jordan are happy to answer your questions. If
Jaron's got to take off, but
not like right now.
But get off, go. But we're going to be around. We'd love to talk to you guys.
And also, we're going to do some live now. So yeah, if anyone's hands are up, we'll take questions.
Michael will run around.
I cannot see anything. So I have no idea where the microphone is.
I think Michael's going to choose for us here, so don't blame us.
You guys in the back too.
All right, let's start down here.
We want deeply personal questions.
I don't have anything personal.
Yeah.
Hi, long-time watcher. I know you've experimented with HDR video, and you were talking a bit about how the Sigma BF takes HDR photos by default. Do you find that you are shooting a little bit differently to take advantage of those, and are you working more of that into your stills work at all? I guess that's for Jordan, or sorry, Chris. And also, I know you guys have done a few explainer videos like aspect ratio and stuff. I think one on HDR would be great because people still think of the old HDR, which is quite garish.
The like real estate HDR?
Yeah.
HDR?
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to come back. I'm telling you, that's going to come back. It's going to
Come back.
Yeah, in the same way they're using the point and shoots again, it's like HDR everything. Yeah.
So are you changing the way you shoot?
I'm not, but I'm also super old-fashioned and lazy, so I don't. But it's a good thing. Like I think about what the output is going to be, and with YouTube, we've kind of played with the HDR. We've played with doing videos in HDR. You always get like 50%, like this is great because they're on the right display, and then they're half like this looked terrible. Why did you do this to us? And my photos are displayed on that same way. So I do still tend to stick to a limited color space. I'm not shooting a lot of HDR for stills. That might change in the future. I mean, Instagram, absolutely.
We've been sort of waiting. Jordan has been the biggest proponent. He wants
to. I think it looks great if you do a good job of it. But I mean, you ask why haven't we done a tutorial for HDR? It's because I'm waiting for everyone to figure this out. That's the problem.
There's too many standards.
There's a lot of standards there. There's no consistency. When we do, the one that I think I will continue to do is the iPhone reviews, because everything is HDR top to bottom of that. And when we're doing that, I watch it on several different devices, and it looks like garbage on 66% of them.
And a lot of the manufacturers are starting to address this photographically, not just for video. But again, we're getting different standards and different systems, and so
you see a proper HDR photo, it really pops. Yeah. Like if you put it on an HDR display, I mean, in galleries, landscapes would look amazing that way. I think next.
Hello, I'm Kara Murphy. We used to work together at DP Review, so I just wanted to say hello, and I continue to follow you guys on PetaPixel and love what you're doing. And just a quick question, how would I pitch something possible topic for your future podcasts?
Oh, tell us right now.
You can do it right now. Or you can email us.
Yes.
There's also on the
Or you
website.
could leave a speak pipe.
Yeah. Usually, well, there will be for anyone listening or watching this later, there's a link in our podcast description to leave us a voice message.
Okay.
Or you can submit a tip on PetaPixel. Any tip will come to my inbox. Or you can email me at eic@petapixel.com. Do not make me regret giving you that. That's my email address.
I
Okay.
can't believe you just did that.
Well, people find it. I don't know where they're finding it, but I get them anyway. So, yeah. You can email me directly, and yeah, we'll definitely bring it up.
All right. Well, thanks.
Kara, I love your work. You write about drones a lot.
Yes.
So I used to read your work quite a bit. So.
Oh,
Are you
well-
writing still?
I wrote for DP Review for about 5 weeks while my former editor was out, and I just launched my own site, and I'm going to write a lot more about the creative side of drones. I loved your Mavic 4 Pro review so much that I went and got one my own way, so.
Can you tell us what the name of the site is?
eBay. Oh, no, my site? I wish, gosh.
Yeah, where do we get those drones?
No, so Kara E. Murphy Aerial Media, and it's just karaemurphy.com, K-A-R-A, E as in Echo, M-U-R-P-H-Y.com. And yeah, just gonna do my own thing for a while.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Kara, good luck. Okay,
thank you.
Hey guys, I've been following you of your transition from the 3 different positions.
They have plenty of those.
Sorry, just want to get my thoughts together. Question.
You're not wrong.
I know that Nikon has some issues with red, and they solved it by buying them out.
Yes.
So my question is, do you see red being phased out over the years and Nikon taking over, or do you see that both companies continuing to go forward?
That's a tough. I don't. We've actually had this conversation ourselves.
Line is they're going to keep them.
I think they're going to keep them both. Yeah, absolutely. I think they're. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of, I don't know, we'll call them collabs, a lot of collaborative products, you know.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to keep the branding always visible separately. But that's what I think.
I mean, it kind of makes sense to me. Like, the use cases are very different. You know, Reds are not hybrid cameras. By
Right.
any means, it's always going to be used on, you know, medium to high-end production. So I think you can keep those two
Right.
separately. But yeah, you're going to see, like, powered by Red slathered all over Nikon boxes in the future. I guarantee you.
Like peanut butter.
I think the names are going to be less silly from Red products moving
Yeah, it's
forward as
unfortunate.
No more Monstros or Bombs or Epics, anything like that. The Japanese are like, no, I don't think that's going to happen moving forward.
Do some letters and numbers. That's always worked.
Yes, exactly. Nothing controversial about that.
Hi, John Holbrook here. I am a PetaPixel supporter.
Thank you.
Yep. First question for Chris, where's my barbecue sauce?
Yes.
Stop
Thank you,
encouraging
John.
him. We don't have the ability to stock food stores.
I assumed he was bringing some from Canada, maple flavored.
It's shelf stable, John. I don't know what his problem is.
Okay.
I'm working on it. So first off.
This was a throwaway bit on a podcast months
No,
ago.
not for me. Not for me. It wasn't. So yes, thank you very much. First off, for getting membership. You know,
Yep.
if you guys want memberships, you can peruse the website ad-free. Here I go.
you doing that?
I gotta do this. Is our podcast. I do it. So you know, if you get a membership, it really does help support us, and so we're able to do things like our big trip to Chile. That's coming out soon. That was really cool, and it's because of that support. So we do appreciate that. You get discounts on the merch store, and also you get barbecue sauce.
I don't. No, you don't. And I don't think you meant to segue you into an ad.
No.
What's the actual question?
The actual question is for Jaron.
Yeah.
If I've heard correctly, and I may not have, you and I have something in common. We used to work in the luxury watch industry, or have done some work.
I've done work for Cartier before.
I
and,
was interested in hearing about that. Yeah.
Oh, you're interested in hearing like how I did it?
Yeah.
I knew the right guy. I got really lucky. It's actually weird. I was working with a friend of mine who's a really high-end photographer, and he got involved with Movember, and Movember was doing a collab with Maurice Lacroix. So that's how I sort of started working with that team, and it was really for a short period of time in my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
For long ago, probably longer than some of you are alive, I used to do some freelance writing and photography in the luxury watch industry. So,
Yeah, watches are neat. Cool.
yes, they are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you for supporting us. We appreciate that.
So before we take our last question right here, you guys will be available right outside in the speaker check-in area, so definitely hold on to those questions. I see so many hands. But here we go. Here's our last one, and then I'll let you guys sign off.
All right, perfect.
Hi, Amber, first-time watcher, so this is fun to see. I'll check it out. I'm just curious, what's your favorite camera personally?
Oh no. You're
Do
gonna
we
make
have
him talk
a
about it
video
again.
for you coming out next week?
This is a really nice camera. I really like this camera. I think I already talked about it. This is a great camera.
What is it called again?
Oh, it's a Panasonic GM5.
And you want something like that again?
Yes.
So for what it's worth, he's doing a video called "The Greatest Camera Ever Made," and he's going to talk at length about why he likes his camera.
There you go. You get a sneak peek.
But what's your favorite camera, Jordan?
I mean, I don't have as much nostalgia.
Just say
for a lot of stuff.
X106. Just say X106.
Am I taking pictures? Yeah, if I'm taking pictures, actually, the GFX 100S2, I really loved using that, and I didn't get much time with it. So I'm a little bummed about that. I actually did the review for the 100S when you had COVID.
Yes.
And I loved my time with it. I didn't love producing and hosting an entire photocentric episode by myself.
Which is why I'm still here.
Yeah, but I had a great time with that camera. And yeah, film-wise, I really regret selling my Pentax 6.7. I loved that.
And what about for video? I think
That's where it's like the newest is my favorite. So yeah, it's the S1 II is currently my favorite video camera. It does everything well. If they'd called it the S1H2, that would make way more sense.
My favorite camera digital is an X106. My favorite camera film right now, because I'm so many going through my closet, but I think it's probably the Sigma Mark I.
Yeah.
Is my favorite camera.
That was a
This
great
is the first
find.
camera Sigma made.
Very
Jaron
first one they
Schneider.
ever made. I managed to find one. They only made 2,000 of them. I found one. One that's probably a little more easier to get though would be the Nikon F with the Photomic FTN, which is my dad's camera that I got from him. So I think that one is mostly, it just means a lot to me. Shooting with it, it's like shooting with my dad again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Right on time,
Thanks,
too.
everyone.
Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Being with us. Yeah.
See you next week on the PetaPixel Podcast.
Yeah, please watch the podcast if you don't already. We appreciate it.